In this video, I'm going to talk about these 4 items that I keep in my pockets every day, all of the time. Now, there's a really interesting reason that I decided on carrying these particular items. I did a video a while ago on designing a pockets-only everyday carry system, and in that video, I was talking about 2 philosophies that I'd come up with to help me decide on the items that I was keeping in my pockets. One of those was preparing for unexpected events, and the other was kind of convenience, just keeping something handy in your pockets all of the time. But this kit is based on a new idea. So after carrying all of this stuff for a while, it kind of occurred to me that there was this third concept at play here, and that is augmentation. So it's carrying things for the purpose of increasing your physical abilities. So it's not specific tools for convenience, and it's not specific things to help you deal with unexpected events. It's just a simple day-to-day improvement on your natural physical abilities. And this is a brilliant thing to think about when you're carrying stuff in your pockets every day. Because of course it's in your pockets, you can access this stuff instantly, and you have these kind of superpowers as a result of carrying these 4 things. If you're new to this channel, I make videos on design, usability and workflow, and those are things I'm equally passionate about in my day job, where I work on SetSeed, which is a white label CMS that helps web design agencies build better websites faster with 0 plugins needed. The first thing we're going to look at is carrying a knife. Now this is a knife that you can open with one hand and access instantly, so it can't be part of a multi-tool, and that's really interesting because obviously the first thing you kind of think, oh, I'm going to carry some tools in my pockets, maybe a multi-tool is the obvious choice. In this case, I actually found that without the ability to access it super fast with one hand, it kind of didn't serve this purpose that well. So I really like carrying a little knife like this. Now this is actually a slightly heavier version than the one I was carrying before, but both of these knives are by Real Steel and they make fantastic knives. I'm really pleased with them. Exactly right for this kind of pocket carry with the clip that lets you pull it out with one hand, and it's in the right orientation to open it then with just your thumb as a result of adding this little thumb stud to the blade. These thumb studs are available from most kind of knife shops and they're super cheap, and you just screw them onto the back of the blade here, and it just lets you flick it open with one hand. Now you need to check, I think some countries have rules on one-handed opening of knives. As far as I'm aware in the UK, that's still permitted, even though pretty much every other kind of knife that has any utility is not. No locking blades allowed at all in this country. So this isn't a non-locking blade. And the great thing about Real Steel is they do quite a few UK legal knives as well. So lots of choices for us in the UK here. So this is just super useful for all kinds of day-to-day things. You just use it throughout the day for anything, like opening a bag of coffee or a packet of food. Anything that's just sort of slightly fiddly, you just speed the whole process up by adding this kind of natural boost to your ability to manipulate the world around you, and that's really cool. It's very easy to get bogged down and kind of thinking, oh, you want to carry as many different tools for as many different things as you can, but actually what that tends to do is it means that the tools you're carrying take a lot longer to get hold of, and that really compromises this kind of augmentation philosophy. The next thing I'm going to look at is this Prybar. Now Prybars are interesting. I think a lot of people don't really see the value in carrying a Prybar, and I think this is probably the item that is used the least out of this kit, but when it is used, it's actually super handy. It's very handy just to be able to have something that you can kind of just bash about a little bit. I've found if I didn't carry one of these, then I used the knife instead, and I've actually snapped the end off a knife. You're doing something that I shouldn't be doing with a knife. That would have been fine to use the Prybar. So any kind of scraping or prying or levering, you can just use this. It's super useful. I have actually ruined the tip of mine a little bit. I was on the beach and one of my kids wanted to open a rock to see if there's a fossil inside it, so I thought, yeah, okay, I'll just use the Prybar, whack the back of it with another rock and try and split this rock open. But even this titanium Prybar wasn't up to the task of that, and it's actually kind of rounded off the end a little bit of this, so that's a little bit of a shame. But I'm very prone to kind of misusing and overusing my tools, so at least I've found where this one falls down. So part of the way of looking at all of this was, if I'm just after these bare essential items that kind of augment my physical abilities, these tools don't need any kind of multi-tool element. They don't need to have other things, and a lot of Prybars on the market are very focused on their idea of using them for a bit driver as well. So they come with all kinds of cutouts and bottle opener cutouts and all these different cutouts that are trying to do all these different things, and actually that's just not what I wanted. I just really wanted a single Prybar with nothing, and I really couldn't actually find one. This one has got these 2 bits in it and the bit holder in the end, and I think of all the ones I looked at least this doesn't seem to compromise that sort of simple utility concept of primarily being the Prybar. And in actual fact, having those bits has proved really useful on a number of occasions as well. And I'll go into that more when I do a video on the other tools that I carry alongside these augmentation roll tools. But again, it does have this pocket clip, which allows it to be just grabbed with one hand and ready to go instantly. It's not in any kind of pouch or anything like that. It's just sitting in my pocket with its clip ready to go. And of course, if you consider what the Prybar is actually doing, it's a very broad, useful thing that improves my ability to kind of lever things and grab things and scrape things and pry things that I just couldn't do with my bare hands. So it fits this role really nicely. So the key with this kit is that everything in here is super versatile. There's no specific tools. We're not carrying screwdrivers for specific types of screws and things like that. This is ultra broad in their utility, and of course super fast to access. That's the absolute key here. All of these things can be accessed with one hand in almost no time. There's no pouches to take things in and out of or anything like that. It's just one hand, grab it out of your pocket and you're good to go. The next thing we're looking at is this torch, and you might call these flashlights. And this is absolutely fascinating because it's this periscope style light. It just seems so much more useful for this particular kind of role here than a torch where the light comes out of the end. So again, super easy just to pull out of the pocket. It's just got the pocket clip ready to go. They've actually got a version 2 now, which is brighter and has the red light as well. So you can use it at nighttime without it impacting your night vision. They're absolutely fantastic. It's got a magnet on the base of it as well, which is actually really useful, again, especially with this periscope style arrangement, because you can stick it on like the side of your car to provide downward light or forward light. It just works really well with that format. It's got a magnetic charger, so super easy just to chuck it into a charger. I've got a little charging drawer that I use for that, and I have this set up in there, so just very easy for me just to chuck it onto that charger. Now I've had this for a while as well, and it's absolutely bulletproof, super tough. It's obviously slightly thick for a pockets only item. It's, you know, it would be brilliant if it was slightly sort of narrower in diameter. It's a little bit chunky, but I actually keep this in my small pocket in my jeans here, and I don't really feel that bulk at all. Very rarely catches on anything and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely small enough for this pockets only concept. The next thing I'm going to talk about is this Zippo. Now I've had this since as long as I can remember. Someone gave it to me, of course, in its original form with the wick that would always evaporate and lose its lighter fluid all the time. But what's really cool is Zippo actually sell a butane insert for these now, which kind of brings them up to modern standards and makes them much more useful with this kind of turbo flame that won't blow out in the wind, and it doesn't evaporate and lose its fuel over time either, and it's obviously much easier to refill and much less messy. And the Zippo is just this perfect shape for pockets only carry. It's sort of square and flat. It's heavy enough just to sit down into the bottom of a pocket and stay in line, and it won't sort of twist around and rotate around. It just works so well. I just literally keep this in my pocket. Now I do have other things in the pocket with the Zippo, and I'm going to go into that in more detail in another video where I look at this kind of broader picture of everything I carry in my pockets, as opposed to just this augmentation roll kit. So the other thing that I have in the pocket with the Zippo is my keys in the Bellroy key cover, and actually this bit driver kit, but that's obviously a toolkit, a convenience style toolkit, so I'm not going to talk about that too much in this video, but I will cover that in other videos. But it's so handy having a Zippo, and this is really a superpower that this gives you, the ability to actually start fire, light fires, burn things. Just fantastically useful, handy, a real augmentation philosophy kind of everyday carry item here in my pockets. It's just really handy all the time. You know, you never know when you might need to light a candle or start a bonfire or light firework wicks or melt the ends of paracord or any kind of useful things. It's very useful sometimes just to be able to have the ability to warm things up. I had a funny situation the other day where my son had used this honey dripper thing on a set honey. He'd literally just jammed it in there, and of course the honey wouldn't run off it. So I just warmed it up a little bit with this Zippo, and it all melted off. It was brilliant. I just, in my pocket, ready to go. Just thought I'd do that, and it worked so well. So yeah, absolutely super handy to have the ability just to kind of create fire from nothing, from just an item in your pockets. If you enjoyed this video, do take a look at this one where I look in more detail at this idea of how convergence devices don't always offer what they kind of claim to offer in comparison to separate counterpart devices, and I'll see you there.